June 17th, 2025. Welcome in to another edition of Sportswrap Overtime. Craig Loper, Jeff Snyder, Brian Parsons here. Keith in the corner, stat boy sort of, for our intern for the summer, Hampton University student. We're going to get into I think a very unique topic today. Jeff Snyder, credit to you for bringing this up. I think this is a good one. We don't always want to talk about on this show sort of the weekly happenings. We want to talk about sports in general, things we've been through. And this topic this week is going to be your favorite sports experiences that you have attended live and in person. It could be a game. It could be a press conference. Mostly games, I guess most of you are going to talk about.
Is this going to be that we attended as a fan, or does work count as well?
Work totally counts. No, work totally counts. Okay. What you've done as a sports journalist, a sports producer, but also a fan. If you've been to one as a fan, whatever. Just favorite sports events you've been to that you've attended. We're going to lead it off. I'm going to throw some out there. You guys feel free to ask me questions. I have basically my top three, and then I have an honorable mention list.
Well, and let's also talk about our backgrounds here. So, Craig,
right? Yeah,
you're from Oregon,
Eugene, Oregon. Born and raised on the West Coast. A lot of sporting events out west growing up. A lot of college football. Not a lot of pro football. The Seattle Seahawks were like 5.5 hours away. Okay. I was not really, honestly, growing up an NFL fan. I like college ball, like all the West Coast, Pac-10. All the college football was my thing, and college basketball.
Are the Seahawks big there?
Not really. Not where I grew up. I mean, like, people root for them, but it's not like being here and you got the Commanders. It's just not the same. It's not the same.
I'm a lifelong Hampton Roads resident.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I am from Cleveland, so Cleveland sports all the way, except for the Pittsburgh Penguins, because we don't have an NHL team in Cleveland.
Oh, okay. You like that? Okay.
You're a Penguins fan?
I am, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this and just talk about my first one here. This is in no particular order of my favorites, but my first one that I have personally been at and I attended. This was I was covering the team for work. The Minneapolis Miracle game, 2017 NFL season, January. Let me get the date. January 14th, 2018 in Minneapolis, the New Orleans Saints playing the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC divisional round.
Yeah, that was a good one.
One of the more famous games in NFL history. It has a name, which is always good. Let me read some of the keynotes here. 29-24 the final. The most infamous play of this game is Stephon Diggs' game-winning touchdown catch from Case Keenum down the sideline with 14 seconds left as time expired to beat the Saints in the divisional round to move on to the NFC Championship. The Saints were leading 24-23 with like 12 seconds left on the clock. And just to set the scene a little bit, I got to Minneapolis like 3 days before the game. I covered a Saints practice one day. I covered a Vikings practice one day. It was -7 degrees. It was the worst cold I've ever felt.
No, let's let the people know who you were working for.
Oh, yeah.
Do that. Where you were working.
Correct. So I was working in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at WAFB, the CBS affiliate there. I was the Saints beat guy. So I covered the team basically every home game. I didn't travel for regular season road games, but we did for the playoffs when it came up. So great sport Saints teams from 2017 to basically 2020. They had a great 4-year run. Let me the cliff notes of this game. Saints were leading 24-23 before the Stephon Diggs touchdown. 4 lead changes in the last 3 minutes of the game. Marcus Williams, he was a rookie that year, missed that tackle. Jeff, if you can pull up the video here, I think we have a picture of the Stephon Diggs catch. And let me just say this, as a sports journalist, so you're impartial, right? You're there covering the Saints. The mindset shift that happened within me, like basically 12 seconds left, I'm thinking, oh, it's over. I'm going to the NFC Championship game. I got to book a flight to Philly. There's no way they're going to get some crazy Hail Mary and win the game. I'm on the phone with my intern, and I'm telling him, because my intern was going to go to Philly with me, like on his own dime, but he was going to, so I'm like, yeah, we're going to book the trip. We're going to book the trip. Mind you, I'm in the belly of the stadium waiting for the press conference, right? And I'm thinking, here go the Saints. What a season. We're NFC title game. First one in however many years, 09 or something. I'm live watching the live feed of the stadium, and I see the play happen. And I start basically on the phone. I'm repeating myself. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. On the phone with my intern. My intern's watching the TV version, which is what? 30,
You're right.
25, 30 seconds delayed.
Up to a minute.
I was watching the live stadium feed. My intern's watching the Fox broadcast delayed. And he's like, what? What is it? What is it? What is it? And I couldn't even get out the words. I hung up the phone. But the mindset shift that happened from the Saints winning and going to the NFC title game to one of the worst losses in franchise history, we in the media, we all felt it get really heavy really quickly. You can only imagine.
And what happened on that play? Did Diggs, was there? Where was the help?
Yeah. They had a guy on Diggs and they had a safety over the top. I forget the corner's name, but Marcus Williams was a free safety, 3rd-round pick out of Utah. Completely missed the tackle, and he afterwards he said he was scared he was going to get a pass interference call, which in retrospect, screw the pass interference call. Like,
you would take that.
You would take that over what happened. But, so we go in the locker room afterwards, one of the most dejected locker rooms I'd ever been a part of as a sports journalist, the most dejected locker room, actually, I could say, as a sports journalist. To Marcus Williams' credit, though, he's 21, 22-year-old kid, fresh out of college. He stood there. He had tears in his eyes, and he took questions from all of us in the media. And I always respect him for that. Cam Jordan, the Saints defensive end, a veteran leader on that team, was kind of really in the face of a lot of media members saying, like, leave him alone, get out of this. But we there to do a job.
Right, so you got to take the bullets.
You got to take the bullets.
It's not life or death.
No,
here.
But Marcus Williams,
it is a game.
Marcus Williams, he turned around and he took the questions from the media like a champ. Always respected him for that. And it was a dejected locker room, to say the least. Absolute shock.
Now, I want to know about this stadium in Minnesota. Apparently, this is one of the crown jewels in the world.
And it was...
how do they treat you there?
It was unbelievable. Getting in the stadium, the belly of the stadium, the press box, everything was gorgeous, clean, pristine. The operation was incredible. I had my cousin with me, my cousin Jazz, who's a Minneapolis native. I had an extra press pass because the intern that was supposed to be with me couldn't go, so we switched the name over, and it was unbelievable. I think the stadium was only a couple years old at that point, 2017 season.
Yeah,
they played a Super Bowl year. No, that was the year. It might have been the first year, because I think they played the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. I could be wrong.
Well, because the
2017 season,
because the Vikings were
Vikings and Patriots.
Yeah, they were in contention.
Yeah, they were. So it was the very first year of the stadium. Beautiful stadium. The glass roof. It was unbelievable. The setup. Crazy, awesome experience. Everything was awesome about it. The game was wild. So that's my first one off the top that I have personally attended. Very cool.
That's a big one. That's a heck of a game. I remember vividly watching it. And
me too.
I think Diggs dropped an F-bomb or something when he did the post game interview on the field, if I remember correctly.
He did.
But who cares?
No, not
at that point.
Second one for me, and we're going to kind of go roundtable in the next segment. Brian and Jeff will do theirs. LSU at Alabama, 2019 season, November 9th in Tuscaloosa. Number 2 LSU versus number 3 Alabama. 46-41 the final score.
Alabama.
No, LSU won. LSU won that game. That was LSU's national championship, undefeated year. Nick Saban really just at the height of his superpowers. Ed Ogeron, the underdog.
Gojo.
Wild story. Let me start with this, how I got to Tuscaloosa. Friday night, we did our high school football show, and I had to anchor the football show because our number 2 sports reporter, Jock, was already in Tuscaloosa for coverage of the game. I got off the set Friday night at like 11:30. I got in a car in Baton Rouge and I drove to New Orleans. I pick up a New Orleans sports reporter who we're an affiliate with. We drove to, what was it called? Meridian, Mississippi. It was 3 hours. So I rolled into Meridian, Mississippi at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. I had to wake up about 6 a.m. Saturday morning, and we had to then drive from Meridian to Tuscaloosa because Tuscaloosa is such a small college town. For a game like that, they don't have hotel rooms. It's booked, right?
I would imagine.
There's no hotel room. So you have to stay. We had to stay 2.5 hours outside of Tuscaloosa. I did that game that day on about 4 hours of sleep, if that, 3.5 hours of sleep.
Well, a wise man once told me, if you're going to be John Wayne all night, you got to be John Wayne all day too.
It was crazy. So that was a big enough game. They asked me to go. I didn't cover LSU consistently by any means, but they wanted me to go because of they wanted me to shoot the Alabama side, the Alabama offense coming at me. Clip notes from that game: 55 players drafted, NFL players. 37 of the 44 starters on offense and defense for both teams were drafted. 18 first-round draft picks on the field, the most collection of talent that I've ever seen on the field. President Trump was there. The environment was crazy. It was a 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock kick on CBS. Jalen Waddle had this incredible 70-yard punt return right at my camera. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Patrick Queen, Derek Stingley Jr., Tua, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Pat Surtain II, Devontae Smith.
Jeez.
The collection was crazy, and the game was incredible. LSU actually jumped out to a very big first half lead. Bama ended up coming back in the second half. So
how many first round draft picks?
18 was the number.
Wow.
The game kicked off at 2. We got there at noon. No. We got there at like 11:30 in the morning. Secret Service everywhere because Trump was going to be there.
Right.
So I had never seen that many agents, security personnel. I mean, AR-15s around their chest, dogs. The whole experience was getting in. So fast forward, we do the game. It was actually very easy from our experience because you know this and you know this. I didn't have to do any post game. I didn't do any stand ups. I didn't do it because I wasn't the LSU guy. Jock did it all. After I shot the game, I was just hanging out. I was hanging out. So we went to dinner. Here's the backside of this story. We went to dinner in Tuscaloosa, and I ordered yellowfin tuna and oysters. It ended up being the worst decision of my life at that time. I got extreme food poisoning Sunday morning, woke up. I could not drive back to Baton Rouge Sunday morning.
I don't know if I'd be getting tuna and oysters in Alabama.
It was terrible. No. It was terrible. And then everyone was laughing at me after the fact. They're like, don't you know the further away you are from the water, you don't eat seafood? And I was like, I was like 25, 26. I was like, that was a lesson I learned. But I had really bad food poisoning. I wasn't able to get back to Baton Rouge till 10 hours the next day. I had to stop at another hotel Sunday. I was throwing up. It was disgusting. So really bad experience on the back end. But the game, awesome game. Very cool experience.
Oh, I'm glad you made it.
Yeah,
made it through the food poisoning.
Yep. And the last one for me, guys, Omaha with LSU baseball 2017. I spent 13 days in Omaha, Nebraska for the College World Series. LSU had made it to the national championship. The thing I love about baseball is it's so relaxed. It's not like the NFL where it's like time window, media availability, and you got to get off the field, practice window. Baseball, you show up at practice, you hang out, you shoot the guys coming off the bus, you shoot all of practice, you shoot BP, you talk to them afterwards, and you're just hanging out for 2-3 hours. Super chill. LSU had a really good team that year. I think they had won 16 in a row when they got there. I got there June 15th. I didn't leave till June 28th. So 13 days. They end up losing in the national championship to Florida. But great experience. Baseball is so fun. The atmosphere at the College World Series, incredible. 8 teams all over the country, fan bases. College baseball is awesome. Some thrilling finishes too. So
I finally saw that video you were talking about last week about the whole Omaha and how they got the College World Series.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
That's so interesting.
75 years.
It's amazing.
Little background, little hype video. They did a great job with that.
But I was kind of like the old Rosenblatt Stadium. I like how kind of run down it looked in the parking lot in the outfield. I mean, it's just
it looked like a little league park.
It was great, man.
Yeah. It's like when they built the new one, people were like, no, keep Rosenblatt. So,
but the Charles Schwab Stadium, is immaculate.
It's crazy. Creighton plays there. We talked about it. This year's version of the College World Series has been really good. I've been keeping up with that. Coastal is
if they win, they have to beat the Louisville Oregon State winner, and they're in the championship round.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So great college baseball, man. It's very fun. The summertime.
That thing's not going anywhere.
No. That
is the
Omaha.
home. I think it's awesome that's the destination.
It has to be. It has
100%.
to be. Yeah, I don't know even.
But you know what?
Consider anyone else.
Sports screws everything up.
You never know.
Money screws everything
up. Some sort of corporate partnership. They probably start putting it in the MLB stadium or something and rotating it. In the summer. Could you imagine? Yeah. No, you couldn't do that. It'd be too hard.
It would be too hard. Yeah, you had to schedule around it.
It is 13 days.
In total, it's 13 days, basically.
Is a team ever out of town for more than 13 days?
You can do a 2-week road trip for sure. You can do an extended road trip if there's a special event.
The College World Series at Fenway Park.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Just don't give me any ideas. No. I like it in Omaha.
Yeah.
I think it's very cool.
Last couple ones.
Craig's gotten me all in.
It's very cool.
Made me more of a fan of it than I was before.
It's so awesome. Honorable mention for me, just super quick here, and then we'll wrap up my sports experiences. Bayou Classic, Southern University and Grambling, been happening since 1932. They play it in the Superdome for a number of years now. I don't remember, but those two HBCUs, that rivalry game, 60,000 people in the Superdome for that weekend, for that game, no matter how good or bad the teams are. Awesome. Very fun. Covered that rivalry for 4 years. Always in the building. Next one for Virginia, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, 2022. Notre Dame traveling to Blacksburg, Enter Sandman on the field. Notre Dame was good. Virginia Tech was just average that year, or below average. But
prime time, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Or day?
I don't know. It was prime time. Yeah, it was a night game. And most electric pregame atmosphere I've ever seen. That entrance, I thought it was overhyped. Not overhyped. Chills, like everything that went into it. Incredible experience. Enter Sandman's an incredible experience if you ever get the chance to be in that building, in Lane Stadium on a night game for Virginia Tech. highly recommend. Highly recommend. So those are
pretty good. Now, what about? Do you have anything from before you got into the biz?
Oh, I do. I have one right here. Arizona Cardinals versus Seattle Seahawks, my first ever NFL game.
Yeah, it's always got to be the first.
The first. It was my first one, 2009. I was a freshman in college. So you talk about where I grew up. I didn't go to an NFL game until I was a freshman in college. I was like 18, 19. 2009, it was just a regular season Cardinals versus Seahawks game. And that was nothing special about it. But my first NFL game, we sat in the nosebleeds of the Seahawks stadium. It was for a sports business class in college. And we were really, truly in the nosebleeds. But we got a tour of the facility from someone in the Seahawks PR department as part of this class we were in. And I saw Larry Fitzgerald play that day. That was cool. And so
that looks like a cool stadium too.
Beautiful.
I like
beautiful.
that one.
So those are my 4 or 5 off the top. And we're going to get into some other experiences with Brian and Jeff coming up right after this break. All right, we're back, continuing this episode of Sportswrap OT. Favorite sports experiences you have attended as a fan, as a sports journalist. Brian Parsons is up next. What do you got?
I'm going to lean more towards fan experiences before I got into the business.
Okay.
Because we talk about your first. You always remember your first. My first Major League Baseball game was in 1989 at Shea Stadium, and it was the New York Mets against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah. Barry Bonds, Darryl Strawberry, all kinds of action going on there. The band Anthrax literally sat in front of me, and awesome. I got their autographs, and they signed Yankee Suck on on every autograph. So
Henry Rollins.
Just the first time, 16 years old, going to a Major League Baseball game, and just walking in and New York City, and just it was very humid and 39,000 people on a Tuesday afternoon.
And the Mets were the Tide's parent club at the time.
So there's
my brother lived in New York City at the time, so I went to that. Excuse me. First NFL game. So this is interesting. So back in the day, before there was StubHub, before there was SeatGeek and all this stuff, how did you get to game? How would you get tickets to games?
Show at box office, right?
Well, there's a place called Great Atlantic Travel, and based out of Hampton Roads. And Great Atlantic Travel would always have ads in the classifieds.
Right.
And you would see, and they would have these trips, and the trips were dirt cheap. You could go to, you take a bus, and they provide the ticket, and they drive you up to the game, and they drive you back. You could also get the hotel trip too, or you could just drive back that night. You could go to an NFL game, ticket and transportation for like $59 per ticket.
Okay. Wait, with the NFL ticket, with the ticket to the game?
The ticket and the bus ride.
There and back.
Yes.
That's insanity.
It was insane.
That's crazy, even for back then.
So we would go, I would go to games. So my first NFL game was in 1991. It was the year the Redskins won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
They had 3 shutouts in a row at home to open up the season, and they beat the Jim McMahon Philadelphia-led Eagles.
Wow. Okay.
Jim McMahon played for the Eagles.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I guess Randall got hurt that
91,
year.
So his Bears career was in the past.
Yeah. And Washington won that game. That was my first ever NFL game.
Wow. Okay.
So that was my taste of using this Great Atlantic Travel. This is a great deal. Now, the Cowboys game would be double the price.
Right.
So then I see on Great Atlantic Travel, and the classifieds, they have in 1993, the Washington Bullets. Are playing the Chicago Bulls.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like,
1993.
I think I want to go see Michael Jordan play. That sounds like a good time, right?
Oh my God.
And so we take the bus ride to $59, take the bus trip up to go see Michael Jordan against the Washington Bullets. Well, the night before, the Bullets actually played the Bulls in Chicago. This is one of those home-and-home weird deals.
Yeah, back to back.
And this guy, LeBradford Smith, had an amazing game against Michael Jordan. So I didn't really know that was going on. So go to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. We get there, and it's the Bullets and the Bulls. And Michael Jordan, I think he scores like the first 16 points.
Wow.
It's 37 at half. He sits out the fourth quarter and ends up with 47 points.
Wow.
And this was kind of like the little revenge game against this little-known LeBradford Smith that kind of showed up Jordan the night before.
Unbelievable.
So Jordan made a point. So I got to see Mike. When I say I saw Michael Jordan, That's all Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Yeah.
I mean, and to put on
Height
a
of his powers.
performance
Right.
in DC.
How was the crowd?
Amazing. The cheering for Jordan.
Okay.
Cheering everything he did.
Like packed, though. The crowd was packed.
Oh, almost like a cartoon scene where things are busting over the seams.
Right, right.
You know, it's just beyond capacity.
Wow. And they went on to win their third in a row that season.
So that was really cool. And other great Atlantic travel to RFK.
Man, you were using these guys.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
A Monday night game, the Redskins and the Broncos.
Okay.
So at the end of this game, the game's out of control. Washington's going to win the game. Well, Art Monk was knocking on the door of the all-time receptions list.
Right.
The all-time record. And he's, I don't know, like 6 away or something like that. And at this point, people are leaving the stadium. It's the end of the game. But I guess Joe Gibbs says, let's just knock this out.
Yeah.
Let's get her done.
Yeah.
And Mark Rippon just started throwing to Monk and throwing to Monk
Yeah.
and throwing to Monk. And,
Right.
he finally got the record. And
It was a Monday night game?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I saw Art Monk set the all-time NFL record for receptions.
What year?
1992.
92. So I wonder if Madden was on the call probably.
It was who was he Monday Night Football?
He did every night.
Who was Monday Night Football in
I don't
92?
know, 92. Yeah.
92?
That would have been ABC.
1992 Monday Night Football commentators, Keith.
Would it have been Madden by that time?
That would have been Al Michaels,
It had to be Madden, right?
Frank Gilbert, and then
Dan Dierdorf, Fred Gifford.
okay, there we go, there we go.
Dan. Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot.
All right, still the old school crew.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. Wow, yeah, Art Monk. So I wonder, like, did they put it up on the board? Did everybody? You said people were like halfway leaving, so I wonder.
Oh, but
was it acknowledged? You know?
Oh, they put him on. They carried him off the field.
Okay, all right. After the game, but I mean, like, you know, with the sometimes people break records, they stop the game.
I think they might have stopped the game.
Okay,
Yeah. It was people were well aware. Once it was like, okay, Gibbs is.
Okay.
He's going to Monk over and over. They want to knock this out.
Okay, got it. So I wonder, he probably ended the game with like 10, 12 catches or
It
something.
was very cool.
Yeah. 1993.
And then we're sticking the 90s here. My first ever college football game. Now, my brother went to Hampden-Sydney, and that's Division III, and he played football at Hampden-Sydney. I don't count those games.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, even the Randolph-Bacon game, that was really cool. But we're talking Division I major college football here.
Right.
And my first game was, I was a senior in high school, and it was UVA against Virginia Tech
Ooh,
in
okay.
1990.
Yeah.
Visiting a friend up there. I guess we stayed in his dorm.
Charlottesville or
probably.
Blacksburg?
Blacksburg.
Okay.
This was the year that UVA was ranked number 1 in the country.
Right.
Which is
right.
amazing.
Yeah.
George Welsh was the coach. Of course, Frank Beamer was the head coach of Virginia Tech.
Right.
Sean Moore was the quarterback at UVA. Chris Slade was on that team, who had a long career in the NFL, went to Tab High School. Terry Kirby was the running back.
I met him.
Tab High School, long NFL career. Herman Moore, Hall of Fame receiver,
Wow.
was on that team.
Wow. Look at UVA.
And Sean Moore was the quarterback. Sean Moore got hurt.
Okay.
So UVA no longer number 1. They lost to Georgia Tech. Matt Blunden becomes the quarterback.
Okay.
NFL career for Matt Blunden. So this is just an amazing game. Virginia Tech, Will Fuhrer was the quarterback, and let me double check the score here. But Virginia Tech won the game 38-13.
Okay.
In Blacksburg,
Crushed
and it's insane. And the fans rushed the field.
Yeah, and you beat the number 1 team in the country, and it's a rival.
They tear down the goalposts.
End of the year, obviously, right? They only played a game at the end of the year?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Tore down the goalposts. And I'm like, I love college football.
Yeah.
This is how it is, right?
Thing ever.
This is what they do. They tear down the goalposts in all the games.
Yeah.
So then my second college football game, my sister was a student at East Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
So me and a friend went down to see my sister and to go see ECU against Pitt. Pitt was nationally ranked that year.
Wow. Okay.
ECU was on a roll. ECU had a quarterback by the name of Jeff Blake, who had a great career with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember the name.
And this place is buzzing. This place is going crazy. And ECU is driving. Pitt's nationally ranked, I believe, at this point.
I'm trying to think what conferences
This
both
is
of those
what,
teams would have been
91?
in that time. So Pitt was in
Pitt was probably independent.
Oh, really?
That's back when teams
Yep.
were independent.
Pitt,
You know?
Pitt was independent for a very, very long time.
Okay. All right.
So you've got undefeated Pitt against East Carolina. End of the game. East Carolina is down 7. They score a touchdown. Jeff Blake runs it in, the quarterback. So what do you think they do?
Go for 2.
They go for 2
to try to win it.
to win the game,
To beat Pitt.
to beat Pitt.
ECU.
And they do it. Now Jeff
Whoa.
Blake runs it in. Fans storm the field.
Oh my
Fans
gosh.
tear down the goalposts. I'm like,
Wow.
College football, they tear down the goalposts after every game. Every game they do it. I don't understand.
How far in between the first college football game and the second one?
A year.
Oh, year. Okay, so next season.
It was the next season.
So this was 91.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
And then we were at a party that night, and the goalpost shows up at the party. They were marching it around Greenville all day long.
That's crazy.
I love that.
And
And that's still a tradition today for a lot of places.
Yeah.
I think Bandy did it last year.
Something like that.
So my first 2 college football games, I saw fans storm the field and goalposts torn down. And I've never seen that happen again.
Right. Gosh, I'm trying to think. In Greenville, was that a regular matchup back then?
Yeah.
ECU and Pitt.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I guess so. And
Nowadays, it wouldn't happen consistently like that.
No.
And then ECU had an amazing year that year.
Okay.
And beat NC State in the Peach Bowl and finished 10th in the country.
Wow. Yeah. ECU, man.
And lost their coach.
Yeah.
Their coach, I think, he went to Georgia Tech or something like that.
Those were all pre-business. Do you got something when you got in the business? You got a lot when you got in the business, obviously. Mostly Redskins, probably.
Yeah, a lot of them blur together.
Okay.
I would say FedEx Field, the first game at FedEx Field, that's not what I'm talking about, but it just so seeing what it was like, the atmosphere.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is good. Even when the Cowboys came into town, it's amped up and all that. When the Redskins played the Lions in the 1999 playoffs, the first playoff game ever at FedEx Field, I cannot overstate how much more amplified everything was.
Okay.
And this is against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, right.
But they hadn't, it was the first home playoff game in quite some time.
Yeah.
First time they went to the playoffs since Joe Gibbs had retired.
Okay.
And Norv Turner was the coach.
Right.
I've never experienced an atmosphere where the crowd was that energized and juiced and everything was turned up a notch, next level compared to regular season. I couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable. 1999 season, that was probably early in 2000.
Yeah.
And you went to cover.
Go covered it. Yeah, shot it.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen Davis had a great game. Coincidentally, Gus Frerotte was the quarterback of the Lions, who had been the quarterback of the Redskins.
Yeah. Barry Sanders was retired at that point. 99? No. Was he done? Barry Sanders? You would have remembered.
I think
Barry
he
Sanders
retired in 98, right?
Yeah. He would. That sounds about right. That's great. That's unbelievable.
And a lot of NASCAR. Yeah, a lot of the NASCAR races have been pretty cool. The Daytona 500s.
Yeah, it's funny how the ones for you mostly stand out pre-biz.
Yeah.
It's like a distinction.
They-
For me, they're all in the business because growing up, I only really went to college football games and college basketball games, which were all great. But
I mean, that Cox Ocean Lakes game. That
right. The baseball.
That was good. It was extra innings. It was Ocean Lakes won the state championship.
I'm sure there's a good high school game that stood out in playoff sort of atmosphere.
Well,
honestly, since I've been here, I've done a lot of cool state playoff games, stuff like that.
The Ronald Curry experience.
Was
unlike
that's like
any.
all one.
It's just amazing to see the performances he put on, beating teams 70-0 in the state semifinals and things like that, and just doing everything.
Unbelievable.
And I saw a bit, and that whole experience is actually kind of going outside of 757. I saw a whole YouTube video about Ronald Curry's career by a guy in Idaho.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You talking about a guy? Yeah,
a guy in Idaho and
making videos.
He was using a lot of our footage. By the way.
It's just kind of like an underrated story. The Ronald Curry story, and we need to get him on Sportswrap OT.
We do.
I think so.
I think
via Zoom.
We got to Zoom.
We can Zoom
Is he
him
with the
in.
Bills now? I think he's with the Bills.
Yeah, he's Josh Allen's quarterback coach.
That's right.
Oh wow,
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, very successful.
So he made it, and he had a NFL career as a wide receiver.
Yeah, right. No, that's great. Those are some good ones. Those are some good ones, man. That's deep. That's deep. I'm trying to think of high school because you mentioned high school. I'm trying to think of like really good. Honestly, a few of the games here, like state playoff games, even like Green Run basketball this past year, they had a state playoff game at Green Run. I think quarters or semis. That was really awesome atmosphere against
and the buzzer beater
Maury
to win it.
That you were at.
Yeah,
that was in
how
a state
about that?
tournament.
That was a good
one.
to win the championship. That was pretty crazy.
Very good. So, okay, I think we're going to get to our next segment here and then probably wrap it up in 15, 20 minutes.
Take a break here.
Jeff Snyder is going to share his favorite sports experiences as a fan on the other side of this break on Sports Wrap Overtime. Back on Sportswrap Overtime, favorite sports experiences you have ever attended as a fan or as working as a sports journalist covering something. I shared mine. Brian Parsons just got through with his. Jeff Snyder going to talk about some of his. Born and raised in the Cleveland area,
yes,
but you've been in the business in a couple different places now.
Yeah,
let's get to it. What are yours?
So we'll start from the very beginning. How's that sound? Somehow, some way, I remember the first ever Cleveland Indians game I went to.
Okay.
I was 5. Okay. And it was not in Cleveland. It was in Baltimore. My cousin was working for the Orioles at the time, and we had some like family trip to Baltimore, and she got us great tickets kind of throughout the stadium for all of us. So that was the first experience I had at Camden Yards. Now I remember that day being very hot. I remember I was sweating the whole time.
You don't know who won or lost. You're 5.
I absolutely do know who won or lost,
okay.
Because the Indians got destroyed by the Orioles 14-2.
Jesus.
That was when Oral Hershiser started for the Indians. I was very confused as to why Eddie Murray was on the Orioles and not the Indians, because he had just been sent back there.
Okay.
And Brady Anderson was at like the height of his powers. I think that was the year he hit like 50 plus home runs. So, yeah, I do remember that experience, bits and pieces of it, but I do remember the final score. It would have been 1996.
Okay.
That happened in the summer of 96.
And when you're 5, I feel like maybe that might be your first time you can actually remember something. I feel like
exactly.
5 or 6.
And I think that's why I remember it, because it, as you know, I'm such a huge baseball fan now. And I already was before then. I'd always watched them on TV with my parents, and the first experience, you just remember it.
Right.
I thought that was awesome. And then of course, a few years later, and another reason we went in Baltimore and not Cleveland is because it was impossible to get tickets back then, because the Browns had left town already, and we had a brand new stadium for the Indians, and it was just so it was sold out every game for 5 years.
Camden Yards, same.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
No, it's not like Camden Yards was an easy
We
ticket.
had a connection though.
They had a sellout streak as well.
The Indians got a World Series in what year? What year was that?
1953.
1948 was the last one.
Oh, I'm thinking they lost. They lost in the 90s.
Lost in 95, lost in 97, lost in 2016.
95. Who'd they lose to in 95 and 97?
95 was the Braves. 97
Marlins.
was the freaking Florida Marlins.
First year.
7 innings.
Marlins. What do you mean 7 innings?
I mean, 7 innings.
7 games.
7 games.
Right.
7 games. Walk off at the end.
I was thinking of the Braves.
Brutal.
I was thinking of the 95 Braves.
Yeah, that 95 Braves was tough. That was a tough one.
Shout out Kenny Lofton.
Yeah, shout out Kenny Lofton, who got traded to the Braves and then traded back to Cleveland. I think he's the reason they lost in 97, because he was with the Braves in 97.
But 97 World Series was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and I can never watch it again.
The best team, money could buy.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. What else you got?
All right. So fast forward a little bit, sticking with baseball. Let's go to 2011.
Okay.
This is the Indians are playing the Tigers at home. I'm working at Cedar Point at the time, so I get one day off a week.
Cedar Point, the amusement park.
The amusement park,
Okay.
yeah. I
I've
operated roller
heard this.
coasters.
Yeah, that's right.
Operated roller coasters back then. Shout out Gemini. So my mom and dad, my dad gets great tickets through his work. On the third base line, it's just solid seats. So they're like, "Hey, come home. We're gonna go to the game." I'm like, "All right, sweet." So we get to the game. Starts pouring rain. It's delayed. I don't think we started till like 9:30.
Shoof.
I have to be at work at like 1 o'clock in the morning the next day. Normally, my mother would kind of just be like, "Can we go? Can we go? Can we go?" But she wasn't like that this time, which I thought was very strange. She's usually kind of like the first one to say, "Hey, let's get out of here." But we stuck around the entire game. And this game, I mean, it wasn't like we were facing Justin Verlander that day. It was, I actually have it up right here. Doug Fister started for the Detroit Tigers. He was a solid pitcher back then. And Justin Masterson, who was Cleveland's ace at the time, was starting for the Indians. So then this game, so the Indians scored 2 in the first. Detroit scores 2 in the second. Scoreless for the next ever. I mean,
Till the end of the game.
Till the end of the game, which went 14 innings.
Oh, you went to a 14 inning game that started at 9:30 at night.
And the reason I remember this is because of how it ended.
Okay.
Kosuke Fukudomi,
That's a name.
excellent
know that.
baseball name. He was a Japanese guy who played for the Cubs, and then he came to Cleveland on a free agent contract. It was kind of one of those signings that we just kind of did because, that's what we do. He's at the plate. The bases are loaded. All right. I'm thinking, okay, walk this off, get a hit, something. He gets drilled in the ribs, and it's a walk-off hit by a pitch.
Oh, bases were okay. I see.
After a 4-hour and 43-minute game.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's why you remember that one, 2011, almost a 5-hour baseball game.
Yeah,
I love it. We don't get those anymore because of the runner on second. I hate that.
Yeah, that was a controversial one.
In the pitch clock, but
I hate it from a moral purist standpoint, but from a person who is concerned with time, I love it.
No, I get it. I no, for sure, but it's almost like when you have those rare instance of once every 5 years where a game goes 18 innings.
Of course.
That's kind of unique. It's kind of cool. And it's kind of neat to see the stadium empty and the diehards still there and these players giving a crap, exactly. After 5 hours. I do, we'll never see that again, but I thought that was always like that. I mean, there would be times I've left work when the Tides were in crazy extra innings and just like gone in at 11:30 at night in a completely empty stadium.
Unbelievable.
And just see who's going to win. I like that.
My latest baseball game, he has I think 1:30 in the morning. LSU went 14 innings one night or something, maybe 15, and walked it off against, I think it was like Air Force or something random, like non-conference game. It was just a long night. All right.
Yeah. So my last baseball one, this does not involve the Indians. This actually involves the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs. So I went to college in Pennsylvania, went to Edinburgh University, about 2 hours north of Pittsburgh. So they had a college night promotion of some kind, and there's also something called Buck Night. So the tickets were $1.
That's cool.
And beers were cheap, that kind of a thing. Now, keep in mind, this is in the middle. This is 2014. This is in the middle of when the Pirates were actually good.
Okay, yeah.
So
Clint Hurdle was manager.
Clint Hurdle was the manager.
Former Tide.
And Starling Marte, Andrew McCutcheon at the peak of their powers.
Right.
So we go to this game, and the crowd is just rowdy. I mean, we are having because it's a bunch of college kids.
Right.
This is back. If you follow pro wrestling, Daniel Bryan was huge at the time. Everyone's doing the yes. Okay. Everyone's chanting that. There was some guy who actually went to Edinburgh. I found out later he played football for them. Who was leading that. Pittsburgh does a pierogi race, right?
Inform me. I'm lost.
The pierogi race, like gimmick races and like during.
Like the Nats do with the mascots.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With the presidents.
Oh, okay.
So Pittsburgh does it with pierogies.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. During the pierogi race, someone streaked during the pierogi race and went out onto the field, and he sprinted around with the pierogies. And so funny.
I've always wondered what the cops do in that situation. Like, I don't want to touch this naked guy.
They chased. I mean, he was like in his underwear, but it wasn't like completely naked. But
I remember at Harbor Park, somebody had streaked onto the field.
That's hilarious.
Buck naked. All right,
streaking at a AAA baseball game is hilarious.
And they're trying to climb the outfield fence, okay, but like there's like a little indention that you think he tried to step on it, but that's just Velcro. So when he steps on it, it just falls off.
Oh my god!
And the cops finally get him. And I'll give it up. And I went up and said something to the Tides people that run the operations. They played the cops track Bad Boys. Bad Boys.
See, now
while he's getting taken away, I was like, all right, okay,
that's good.
That was clever. You thought about it. You found it. You played it.
But now it's
in
like
the moment.
Discouraged. It's discouraged to do things like that during that. Like you don't even show them on TV anymore.
Well, they never. Well, they've never showed full frontal naked men.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Television before.
I'd like to think it was always discouraged.
Yeah, they've never showed.
I mean, not naked people, but like people on the field in general.
Sidebar. Speaking of Sportswrap overtime and having time to fill sometimes, the most infamous Hampton Road streaker at the ODU football game. We need to get that guy on, man. That year, when I first got here, I heard that story years later. I wonder what he's up to now. Is he Canadian?
They were Canadian. They were on a football stadium tour.
Yeah,
they were from Montreal.
We need to get that guy on here.
And then Nathan Epstein, who used to work here, the news director at the time, said, we need to get this out, but you've got to blur this out,
right?
And back then it took Nathan a while to have to blur that out. He's like, this is the worst.
At the old stadium, obviously Foreman Field.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we should find that guy's contact information. I remember we were following up with it on it. You showed me some old newscasts. We followed the guy out of the courtroom or whatever.
I think they basically just said,
Did they fine him?
I think they just said don't just go back to Canada and don't come back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Imagine getting that guy on all these years later.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be hilarious.
Do we have to take a break?
Well, let me.
Brian, we took a little sidebar.
Let me finish my.
One more?
I have
More?
I have. I'll finish this story and I have one more.
Okay.
So this game I paid $1 for to hang out with my college friends. It went 16 innings.
Whew. Yeah.
And it was a walk-off win by Tony Sanchez, a former first-round pick who didn't amount to much, but he was a catcher. But he walked it off for the Pirates, and they ended up making the postseason that year. Now, probably my ultimate favorite one.
Okay, here we go.
Is 2007. I'm 16 years old. I went to the Ohio State game. It's the only Ohio State game I've ever been to.
Wow.
It's the first game of the season.
Yeah.
They played Youngstown State.
Okay.
Now, why were we caring about Ohio State playing Youngstown State? Ohio State kicked the crap out of them, right?
Right.
Well, we're looking at the scoreboard, the out-of-town scoreboard during that game, and we noticed Appalachian State
Appalachian State.
and
State.
Michigan are having an actual game.
Right.
And Appalachian State is winning.
Yep.
And we were like, oh my God, could they actually do this? And then I think it was towards the end of the game, they showed the out-of-town scoreboard one more time, and they didn't put the score up there.
Why?
And I don't know why, but we were all like, come on, what is it? Because this is before smartphones.
Yeah.
This is I think this is the year the iPhone came out.
Yeah.
So no one really has a smartphone unless you're kind of like a big businessman. Maybe at a BlackBerry or something.
Yeah, right.
So as soon as the game's over, my dad and we walk down to the concourse, and then we see, we're all kind of huddled around to one TV in the concourse. And when that kick was blocked, it was louder than any moment during that Ohio State game.
Yeah, because you're at the Ohio State game. Everybody hates Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
Michigan was like a top 5 team in the country that year.
Yeah,
top 10 at least.
They were a preseason top 5.
Preseason top 10.
And that was the first game of the season. They dropped right out.
Yeah, Lloyd Carr's last stand.
Was it? Was that his last year at Michigan?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was I was 16 years old. I will never forget that as long as I live.
The funny thing about that game, they've probably made documentaries about it. The most intriguing part about that game is it was literally like App State arriving on the college football scene because they were FCS school at that time, right? Like it's like their birth into college, like big time college football.
Yeah.
Like to have that as the catalyst and now what they have become is very cool.
I don't think they become what they become if that win doesn't happen.
Like it feels like it's like that was something unique that day, and then all of a sudden it just sparked something.
I mean, they won multiple national championships. So
that's true.
At that
level,
But
at that level, okay,
but
true.
I'm
talking about the entrance into like not American.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Like the casual.
But
fan.
I think they still would have still made the FBS move.
Right, for sure.
Regardless.
So that was really awesome. And then Michigan took about 20 years to recover from it until they won their national title a couple of years ago. But that's a different story.
Yeah, it's a different story. All right, we got one more break to take, and we're back just to wrap things up.
Yep.
Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back on Sportswrap Overtime. A few minutes here. We just want to mention sort of miscellaneous that we didn't get to, favorite sports experiences. Mine, NCAA Gymnastics National Championships in Fort Worth. I went 2 years in a row. LSU gymnastics teams was doing it. It's actually very unique, very cool. They got 4 events going on at once. It's a lot of action. It's fast-paced. It's only like 2 hours. The place is packed with screaming people. When someone gets a 10, it's like everyone's chanting 10, 10. It's really cool, like very just unique. So that's my miscellaneous one. Second miscellaneous one was the Keyshawn Davis fight in November of 2024 at Scope. That was awesome. The whole night, place was packed. Keyshawn knocking a guy out. Big time boxing back in Hampton Roads for the first time in 30 plus years. Very, very cool night that night. So those were 2 honorable mentions that I wanted to get in there for me personally.
Might not have another one of those coming back here.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
We'll see.
Not anytime soon.
I'm gonna. We're talking about these great moments. I'm gonna talk about a moment of misery. How about that? Because that's part of sports too. The agony of defeat, right?
Correct.
So we're gonna go back 31 years, and the site is the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia, and it is the championship game of the CAA basketball tournament.
Right.
We've got Lefty Drizel and the James Madison Dukes against Old Dominion, coached by Oliver Purnell. ODU with Odell Hodge and Mike Jones and all these guys that are on the staff now. Old Dominion has a 19-point lead with 13 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
us obnoxious ODU fans are chanting to the JMU fans, NIT, NIT, NIT. Because both teams were so good, the loser was going to go to the NIT. The winner was going to go to the NCAA tournament. So they put the press on. JMU puts the full court press.
Speed the game up.
And next thing you know, Old Dominion is unable to get the ball past half court. Oh, okay. Okay, so we go to the end of the game. They're down by 2.
ODU or JMU?
JMU is down by 2.
Down by 2. Okay.
They go for a shot. Odell Hodge blocks the ball. Mm-hmm. You're like, this is but it goes out of bounds.
Okay.
So they still have like a second on the clock.
1 second.
ODU calls a timeout. Mm-hmm. Okay. They get to regroup. Mm-hmm. JMU had this player named Kent Kaluko. Pretty boy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Kid from Jersey. Mm-hmm. The rumor was that he sued somebody because they fouled him too hard and tried to intentionally ruin his modeling career.
Random rumor.
Okay,
that seems totally fake.
All right,
but in college, you're like,
but doesn't that make you want to hate him?
Right, of course.
You know,
right.
Okay. So inbounds the ball. It goes to Ken Kaluko in the corner, and he drains the 3-pointer at the buzzer
to win by what, 1 or 2?
To win by 1.
Oh my god!
And James Madison and Lefty finally gets to go to the NCAA tournament, and we're like looking around like, what?
19.
But yeah. Are there
up 19?
But the time? No, it's over.
Richmond
it's over.
Coliseum. That was a CAA championship.
CAA championship.
Brutal.
James Madison. I forget who they played in the tournament, but Old Dominion got relegated to the NIT, and the only solace in that was there was an NIT game. I believe that was the NIT game against VCU at Scope, which was pretty cool because they were in different conferences at the time.
Right,
so,
right.
There's my miserable moment.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Jeff, you got one more? We got a couple, about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. So this would be me as a journalist. Really early in my career, I was in Erie, Pennsylvania. That's because it's near where I went to school. Worked at the station up there. I was working part-time. But I had an old media credential from my college radio station that was still good.
Okay.
So the Erie Otters were a hot ticket in town at the time. They're an Ontario Hockey League team, major junior hockey.
Okay.
This is a league where kids get drafted from. And who is on that team? Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid.
What year was this?
This would be 2012, between 2012 and 2015.
Okay, that's not as far back as I thought.
No, because he was a 15-year-old player. He got exceptional. So you have to be 16 to be in this league. Mm-hmm. He got exceptional status, so he was 15. He was allowed to come in a year early.
Wow.
And you could tell almost immediately you knew this kid was going to be very, very special. I didn't think we knew that he was. I mean, there was hype around him.
Yeah, you heard about him coming in, and then you see it. It's a little different.
And he was the Otters' first overall pick. They do drafts in that too. They're like drafting 14-year-olds. It's hilarious. But it was so cool to see him develop into the player that he became just from that end. And there was also other great NHL players on those teams too, like Dylan Strome, who plays for the Capitals, Andre Burakovsky, who was playing with them, Adam Pelech, who's played for the Islanders for a long time. I still think he's there. The head coach of the Otters, Chris Knobloch, is now the Oilers head coach.
Wow.
Connor Brown is on the Oilers. Of course, as we record this, we got a Stanley Cup final going on.
Right. He needs to win he needs to win a cup though.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah. I agree. He absolutely needs to win a cup.
So just to fill me in here, that Erie Otters team, is that a feeder into the Oilers somehow? Is it like
no?
Oh, okay.
No. So it's think of college hockey.
Okay.
All right. This is where people get drafted from.
Okay. Got it.
So hockey has many different paths you can take to get drafted.
Yeah. Hockey. That's hockey. It was confusing to me.
It was almost like so back then, before NIL and all this stuff, it was considered a professional league by the NCAA.
Oh,
so as soon as you step on the ice for an OHL game, you lose your NCAA eligibility.
Okay. So if you don't want to play college hockey, you go to this. It's like the G League.
You go to major junior. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go to Canadian college still. So there's still paths for your education and whatnot.
Yeah. Connor McDavid's big name to watch him as a 15-year-old. So
yeah, very cool.
Very cool episode here. We're probably going to do more of these sort of episodes as the summer approaches and we have less sports on the field to talk about. So look forward to that. For Brian and Jeff, I'm Craig Loper. We will see you next week. Have a good one.